Hello and welcome to this penultimate live call, bringing an end to Season 7 of the Mundane to Magical Online Summit series. My name is Louise Matson, and as always, I am truly blessed to be your host. Today, on this penultimate call, I'm really excited to welcome back another much-loved speaker from last season, Raven Many Voices. Raven Many Voices is a well-known and gifted spiritual counsellor, intuitive, medium, and teacher. And she's been providing spiritual guidance to people seeking wisdom for over 25 years. Her ability to access the many traditions and spiritual realms led her to become a voice for spirit, incorporating healing modalities from around the world into an easy and accessible format for those exploring spiritual healing, spirit guides, and soul communication. She's a highly attuned to both the Ascended Masters and Angelic Realms, as well as the ancestors and earth spirits in the service of healing ourselves, our community, and our planet. And she applies these teachings through writing, energetic and gemstone healing, spiritual counselling, online classes, and sacred ceremonies. Now, many of you really enjoyed Raven's conversation last season as she brought through the energy of the dragons, which we all love, I do in particular, and shared their wisdom and their magic with us. Now, the topic for today's conversation is Dance with the Fairies. Discover your elemental fairy guide. Now, I've connected into the energy of the fairies and elemental spirits on walks in nature, but also during client sessions, and they always bring messages of joy and playfulness, encouraging us to lighten up and lift the weights that lay heavy on our shoulders so that we can once again enjoy this experience of incarnation as we did in childhood. But their energy can be quite mischievous as well. And depending on how we're feeling in the day and how much we're in the energy of challenge, we can experience that mischievousness in a number of different ways. And so I'm really excited to hear what they have to share with us, the fairies, today, particularly during these challenging and chaotic times that we're currently going through, and to learn how we can all work more closely with these beautiful magical beings. And so it's my absolute pleasure and honor to welcome you back to the show, Raven.
Yeah, thank you so much. I love being here. And hello to everybody. I can already feel your dragons showing up too. A lot of people brought their dragons with them and fairies.
Well, I mean, the dragons are with me all the time anyway, so I am not surprised that they have come into the space as well. But yes, I really love the energy of the fairies, but yeah, they can be playful and they can be mischievous as well. So I'm just looking at where people are. We've got Zurich, Anna Courts, WA. I don't know where that is.
Washington, Anacortes. I knew who that was. Hey, Mrs.
Oh,
Bear.
Seattle, Canada, Germany, Argentina. Wow. Indiana, California, Telford, PA. um,
Awesome.
Excellent. Hawaii. Wow, we've got loads and loads of different people from different locations in the house. It doesn't matter where you are, the fairies are with us all.
Yes, they are. Yay.
So, as you're a returning speaker, I'm not going to ask you to go through, your journey and things like that. So let's get straight into the topic of the conversation.
Awesome. Probably see lots of sparkles and flashes of light behind me, and that's all them because they all showed up. They've already stolen my keys this morning, moved my coffee cup, and have like totally rearranged the house for me. So they're excited to be here. So happy to be a voice, honored to be a voice for them today, and really help everybody learn how to communicate with them more. Out of all of our different spirit guides, from ascended masters, angels, ancestors, dragons, you name it, the fairies are the easiest. And it's because they're so excited. They're like our brothers and sisters in nature. And it's like being at a party and no one sees you. And all of a sudden, someone across the room notices you and you get really excited, like, oh my God, you saw me! Yay! That's the fairies. They get so excited to work with us. And I'm already kind of feeling their energy coming through me as I feel like I'm bouncing all over the place. Yay! So that's the fairy energy. They're joyful and excited, and they just cannot wait when we see them to be able to communicate with them. And they do it in a variety of ways. That's what I really wanted to focus on, is helping everybody recognize when the fairy realm is trying to talk to you. Because a lot of times we totally miss the cues and they can be subtle at times. So, we're going to really help everybody tap into your senses, have a little bit more of an understanding of the natural world around you, and how best to communicate with them both out in nature and in your home because they are everywhere. So, yay, sound good?
Sounds absolutely fantastic. In fact, it's so online with one of the questions that Regina put in before, because I don't know if she's able to come on the live call. She says that she loves connecting with the fairies, but she can't see them yet. And so, that again, it's great that you're going to talk about the different ways in which they're kind of showing themselves to us that we may be
Yes,
missing. But if you could also touch upon how we could develop our connection so that we may be able to see them in a more kind of visceral, physical senses way, that obviously
definitely.
people are very drawn to being able to do, especially at this time.
Well, and how they actually help our function of being here on the planet, which is a big part. Developing a relationship is magical. That is magic. Whenever we talk to all of our different, guides, ascended masters, Merlin, all of them, the first thing they always say is magic is created through the relationships we have with both seen and unseen. So by developing a further relationship with your fairy guides and elementals, it means that you can bring more magic into your life. And we are talking mundane to magical here. So perfect. Perfect topic. So let's start off with like a basic, again, everybody is in different places of what they understand about fairy kingdom, elementals, and all of that's contained in that. Because there's a lot of confusion around this. When we talk about fairy, most people think Tinkerbell. They think, and sorry, I know you're there in England, but everybody always tends to think of only English European fairies. And one of the things we need to wrap our head around is that nature spirits and fairies are found around the world in every culture and they vary. So, yes, we have the very traditional fairy, and I've got my little cards here fairy with the wings. Everybody thinks about, yep, that's a Tinkerbell fairy with the wings. But fairies can also be all those guys too. Crazy. So they can be the very traditional English again, gnome with the red hat. That is definitely English. But fairies can also be a Piju from China. So here's a Piju, which is a lion dragon. That's the other thing. Fairies aren't just humanoid. Fairies also include all the creatures. So dragons a lot of times fit in with that too. Unicorns, mermaids, all of these different creatures. The one fact that really binds all of them together is they're very connected to the elemental realm. So when you think of the different fairies, it's one way to really kind of be able to look at all the different kinds of creatures and fairies is what environment or element they come from. Are they connected to the fire realm, like fire salamanders, which actually look like little salamanders that spit fire and they're really cute? This is why we like looking at fire and candles because they like to dance in there and kind of curl up in the fire and kind of that's why flames look alive. The flame spirits or fire elemental is part of that. When you look at water, of course, we think of mermaids, but you also have water sprites that like to dance across the water. This is when there's no wind, no air movement, and you see the little ripples on the water, and you can't figure out what the heck is making the ripples move, and there's no bug. That would be the water sprites moving the water around. You have air elementals, and of course, we think Tinkerbell. But when you have a little cyclone of leaves dancing around, the leaves are kind of playing together. Those are this little wind scythe spirits that are actually moving the leaves around and dancing with that. A really good example of that is Fantasia from Disney. They did a great job showing the seasons changing with the fairies actually interacting from fall with the leaves to winter with the ice and actually the little sprites that would actually cast the frost over everything. And of course, Earth, we think of like the gnomes, but Earth can also include all kinds of creatures that are dwell deep in the earth. I talked about the nocturne dragons, which are in the shadows of the deep wells of the deep caves, but there's other creatures too. Out here in the Northwest, in our tribal areas, we have a fairy spirit, nature spirit called the stickmen, and they actually look like sticks that walk. And so when you're in the woods, when you hear snapping twigs and no one's around, this is actually the stickmen that are following you around and watching you to make sure you're behaving yourself in their forest. So when we really look at the elemental kingdom, we need to think of like the base elements. And I like to actually use the image of a Lego brick. Everybody knows what Legos look like, and all the different block colors, all those different elements, and how they link or play together. Even you listening to this are full of elements. You have each element within your body: air that you breathe, pretty easy; water, the liquid you cry and urinate; your blood; you have the bones, which is the earth; and the fire is a little bit trickier, but that's your spirit in your heart, but it's also your metabolism. So those fairies and those elementals, we tend to think of outside of us: the sun, the earth, the water, the wind, but all of that makes you up too. This is why working with the fairy kingdom is so important, because it directly affects your health.
Mm.
If you want to change your relationship to your body and change your body, you work with those base elements. Those fairy spirits are within you in the elements. So when you work with those elements within you, you also work with the environment, inside and outside. It directly links you. It's so powerful. So really cultivating a relationship with the elements and these fairy creatures really helps you to understand you. And it helps us to be here. Biggest thing that the fairy realm or this diverse nature spirit realm helps us to do is to be here more gently, beautifully, wonderfully, joyfully, because working with nature helps you to ground, to connect, to be in your body, and to work with the environment more humbly and joyfully. So that connection is very, very powerful. So no wonder why we want to go walk in nature, go be with a plant, hold a stone, touch a tree. That's all connecting to nature. And every time we do that, we're also touching that unseen, those fairy spirits that are interacting with us. So
Yeah.
yeah, a lot to digest there, but there's so much more than just what we think the fairy kingdom is. We really need to look at it at a bigger level, but also a smaller level within us.
Absolutely. And I love that you've brought that through as well. I mean, one of the biggest parts of my journey over the last 2 years has been more about this, not being kind of up and out there, but it's been very much about focusing on the embodiment aspect, bringing it back into the body, and how these magical elements, these aspects are working within us, are part of us, not just out there for us to connect with from an external perspective, but within us. And the other thing that's coming through about the fairies is alchemy, and the whole aspect of the different elements coming together and alchemizing. And that's again creating magic, and that creation energy as well, which again works internally as well as externally, as well as we manifest things into the outside world.
Definitely.
I don't know why
There's
that
so much to do.
come through, but
No, it's perfect. I mean, a lot of times people, when they associate awakening or ascension process, they only think heavens, they only think up, out to the stars and beyond. And I'm going to tell you all, you people, because anybody that's going through the awakening ascension process know that it's not unicorns and cupcakes. It is work. It can kick your butt. But the other part, a lot of people, and I've been helping so many people, 25 years I've been doing this, I've been helping people awaken, ascend, all that for a long time. There is a time in that awakening process that makes you focus back on the earth. It's about coming in your body. The awakening process isn't about leaving your body, it's about awakening within your body. It's about fully coming here. And you can't do that without Mother Nature and the nature spirits, because they have those keys to unlock and awaken your physical body. You need their help. And so a lot of people that are really awakening, a lot of Star Nation people I work with, angelic people I work with, one of the first things we really have to learn is how to reground, how to really reconnect to your body and nature. And with that process, opens up the communication. So don't worry if you're not full blown ascending. Don't worry, you already are actually, for anybody that's listening to this. But just being playful and fun and working with the fairies is helping you open up your awakening and also ground at the same time to be here. It's we're cultivating a new relationship with Mother Earth. We can't just be here blindly poking at everything being a virus. We need to actually be beneficial bacteria and actually get along with our brothers and sisters in nature. And that's the number one thing. The queen of fairy of everything is, of course, Mother Earth. And one of her big requests from us for us humans is to get along with our brothers and sisters,
Mm.
seen and unseen, the animal world, the nature, and of course all the fairies. And another way to think of the fairies is you may not see the garbage man come pick up your garbage every day, your trash bin, but magically it gets emptied every week. Who does that? The garbage man. Fairies are very similar that way. They are always cleaning up, helping nature, helping flowers bloom, trees grow, all of that. We may not see it, but they're always active and working within your yard, your planter on your apartment box, the flowers you brought in a vase in your house, anywhere. They're always doing this. Even, and this is the other really interesting thing, fairies have adopted our technology. They are, again, part of every element. So we need to stop disassociating our computer, even our medication, as separate from nature. This is part of our problem is we keep separating things from nature. Even if we take an element like the willow tree and take out the component that takes away our headaches, the salicylic acid and parts of that which we make aspirin, it is still part of the willow tree and still part of nature. So when we're taking and interacting with these different things, even drugs or things that can save our lives, we can actually invoke the fairy that's connected to it to help utilize it and work with it better within our bodies. This is huge. It helps us then get more connected to nature, and it invites those helpers that are part of that process to be part of us. So there's always a part of nature. Even your computer you're using to watch this right now, there is still silicon in those chips, and even the plasticky bits that are part of nature because it's part of petroleum, which is part of earth, is still part of the fairies. So you can still connect that. And they've adopted it and helped us. This is why when your computer acts strange or your pencils go missing or your desk is a mess, it's usually because a fairy has been helping you reorganize your desk. So to prove this, my little gnome I showed, this is Bit. He's my computer gnome and he watches over my computer. And I can't tell you how many times I've lost my date book, my stamps, or whatever in my desk. I just put out a little piece of chocolate or something shiny like a little coin, and Bit will find it for me. I'll literally walk out of the room to get my tea, come back, in the middle of the desk is the stamps. So, yes, fairies are ready and willing to adopt you and help you, not only outside in your garden or on your nature walks, but inside, even with your computer. So, invite them. Again, it's like that party I referenced at the beginning. We have to make an effort to invite them in, even if you can't see them right away. And we're going to work on that today, but you can start inviting them in. And it's noticing the little subtle shifts, like when you get a vase of flowers and the flowers keep moving when there's no wind and there's no fan on. That's them jumping up and down on the flowers trying to get your attention. So it's noticing the little things. That's really, really important. And there is great reference books out there. I think I saw somebody say Ted Andrews' Enchantment of the Fairy Realm. There's the Fairy Bible. The card I showed up earlier is Brian Froud and his magical fairy, the fairies oracle. It's a great card deck with working with the fairies, and a local artist out of Port Townsend actually did the artwork for it. So there's lots of reference books and things like that. But besides looking it up in the book, it's really about you using your senses, you really connecting with that fairy realm, right? So how do
Absolutely.
you feel about like aspirin and fairies? Have you made that connection, Louise?
Well, I mean, everything, I always connect, well, I always see everything as energy anyway, and everything has a spirit. So no matter what
Yeah.
it is, it doesn't matter what it is, whether it is something that we would disassociate with the magical realm in terms of, it's a mundane piece of, a mundane item, or it's something that we kind of feel has been man-made, created, taken away from the natural aspect and element of it. I always speak to it, and I always connect with it, and I always um invite the highest and greatest good out of it. And and if my computer is glitching, then I say, spirit of the computer. you know,
Awesome.
I need to, so I'm constantly talking. And I think for me, that's one of the things. I mean, we talk about inviting them in, we talk about communicating and building relationship, and that's really what it's all about for me. If we're happy to, on a daily, everyday basis, it doesn't matter what the conversation is, have that conversation, even if we can't see them, we know they're there. And it's in that, I was told years ago, I always used to be a person who needed to see to believe, and it was like, believe it and you'll see it. And that's the whole thing. It's kind of shift that whole paradigm, shift the perspective.
Yes.
Talk to them, recognize that they're there, even if you can't see them, and you'll start to see the movements. You'll start to notice the evidence, as it were, come into the physical reality. So yeah, I mean, not that I take medication or things very often, but if I did, I would communicate with it
Yeah.
on the level that it is all part of the all that is. It's part of spirit, it's part of Mother Earth. One thing that I did want to say from what you've just been sharing is, I've noticed from my journey, and I would imagine that a lot of, say, star seeds or people of the same ilk as myself, who kind of came in with awareness that we were not quite of this world and felt very uncomfortable as children, because we were very connected to the magical aspects, and the people that we incarnated with were like not there at all, and the whole world around us was like not there at all. And so we shifted to fit into their frequency. But I have been noticing that the vibrational shift on the planet has enabled me to feel a lot safer about actually physically connecting in. And I think that's why the whole work has shifted over the last few years with me. For me, it very much opened up with a shamanic experience and spending the night in the earth, kind of digging a hole and sleeping in it, kind of thing.
Nice.
But it, again, I think for everybody, we're kind of feeling that shift where actually it feels a lot safer to connect on a very physical, grounded level. I thought I was grounded for many years, and I know now I was not at all.
Yep.
And I think that shift, that change, has actually enabled me to connect more with the elemental spirits, because before I wasn't allowing myself to.
Yes.
Yes, I was connecting up and with higher vibrational beings and things like that, but from an earth perspective, from an elemental perspective, because I didn't feel safe, I wasn't connecting into that consciousness on that level.
Great observation. And yes, I've been hearing this from so many people, other practitioners and everything. And it is that awakening that, again, we need to take it out of our head that the awakening is just for humans. Awakening is for everything. Every being, seen and unseen, is going through awakening. And so Mother Earth herself is actually shifting from a planet of survival to a planet of love. And
Mm.
because of her awakening and shifting within herself, it is allowing each of us to drop the human part of human being and just be beings again. And so it's allowing us to tap into the magical, amazing beings that we are. And like you just said, feel safe in being that, and being transparent and letting it all hang out, and have great conversations about being from the stars or from the earth. Not everybody's from the stars. I'm here. I always say, pack it in, pack it out, all you star people. Have a good journey. Bye. Because this is my home. This is where I came. I witnessed the birth of Mother Earth, helped to midwife it, and been here for a long time. This is my home. So, yes, have I traveled the stars and been other places? Mostly helping other people, yes, but this is definitely my home here. So, again, it's okay if you feel like your home is from another planet and you're here helping out. Or for some of us, this is our planet, and we're helping awaken and connect back to our brothers and bring it back into harmony. That's good too. No matter your perspective, it's about having a good party and all getting along. And that's it. There is a lot of grumpiness out there right now. I'm just going to call it as it is. A lot of people are being very selfish. They are scared, like you mentioned, and worried about trying to be who they are in the world. And a lot of people's inner child is really frustrated after coming from hard lockdown. For all you Aussies that had to be hard lockdown for 18 months, oh my God, my heart goes out to you. You guys were going crazy as I helped a bunch of you. And you're out free and enjoying the summer. So I get that. Again, we've been in time out for a couple of years with COVID around the world, and a lot of us are acting out. And that's why the fairy kingdom, you're going to be seeing it with spring coming so strongly for a lot of us, because we need inner child healing. And that's a big theme for this year. Divine Mother came through at the beginning of the year and really talked about that a lot of our acting out from some superpowers that are fighting with each other right now, not to name any names, they are two kids fighting in the sandbox pretty bad, and it's hurting other people. And this people need to be called out for what they're doing. They need to be held responsible for what they're doing. Again, we need to not only call others out, but we need to call ourselves out. We need to be responsible. And with that is also bringing that inner child back into a safe place, and to be able to have that eyes of a child to interact with the world, to care for another kid. Because when you look at kids, they hug each other, they support each other. There is no racism, there is none of that. It's coming through generational after generational in the family, their society, or where they're at. So if we can tap back into that inner child part, help that inner child heal, and to be able to bring that compassion, that love back, how we could change this world so quickly it would make our heads spin. And who's going to help a big part of that? The fairies. Because the fairy kingdom and all the different beings within that, a big part of what they do is support our inner child, our wonder, our awe. And a big part of our inner child is connected to our third eye. So out of 25 years of been helping people, the number one thing I always hear is, how do I see my spirit guides? And I never thought I'd be doing so much inner child healing with people. And because that inner child, and you mentioned it, it's really shifted for you, and your sight has probably really shifted over these last couple of years, right? And that's because your inner child, as you mentioned, feels safe. You feel safe to be who you are and open up. Once that inner child feels safe, he, she, they have the keys to literally open up your third eye to be able to start really interacting with all the realms. This is so paramount right now, but also unlocks our heart to have that compassion to be able to love each other for our differences, for our different points of view and our opinions. Huge, 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 huge right here. So again, there's so much healing and love. And thank you for mentioning that, Louise. Again, you're right. The shift is palpable, but we need to see it both outside of ourselves and inside of ourselves. It's happening inside and out. It's happening both ways. Yeah.
I think it's like the energy of the fairies is really giving us this massive permission slip, this massive permission
Right?
slip to kind of like shift our perspective on what we're seeing outside, and actually shift our perspective on what's going on outside, and kind of allow ourselves to kind of come within and go within. I mean, for me, the whole COVID 2 years, in a way, you could look at it as, oh my God, we're all in lockdown and it's like go crazy time. Or you could say, well, I've just been given a massive time out. All
Yes.
of the distraction about, having to go out and, get distracted by all my usual ways of distracting myself, by being on the treadmill and just doing my 9 to 5, or, following the same pattern that I've always felt. I can't do that. So it's a massive opportunity to kind of go within, to get out and connect with nature. I mean, the more people went out for walks, I mean, I'm somebody who walks all the time. I've seen more people over the last 2 years on the places that I would walk all the time anyway. It's been annoying because I haven't been able to kind of get parked anywhere if I've kind of driven out somewhere. But I've seen more people out on the peaks, on the moors, than I've ever seen. And
Yeah.
these are people who have lived in real close proximity to these spaces. and they've never gone there. They've never been there, and they've never connected with the beauty and the magic of those spaces. And so, when these fairy energies bringing in that shift your perspective, enable yourself to lighten up, lift the heavy weight of all the stuff that we've kind of allowed to be placed on our shoulders and taken responsibility for, that isn't ours to take responsibility for, to then
Yeah.
go in and actually take responsibility for the stuff that's in here that we have responsibility for.
Right? And laugh about it. Not be so darn stodgy and serious about it. I mean, that's the first thing the fairies are going to do is literally make you look in a mirror and laugh at yourself. That's why they're so goofy and they're so mischievous, because they're trying to get us to loosen up. Spirituality does not mean stiffness. It doesn't have to mean structure. We have to embrace chaos. Chaos is not bad. It's not evil. Chaos, spontaneity is beautiful. That's you know what? I'm going to take a sick day and go for a hike and be naughty and eat fried chicken. Yay. Have fun. That's what the fairies want us to do, is to live life to the fullest.
Yes.
So it's, again, yeah, this is awesome. We need to shift our perspective around this timeout we've had and see it as a vision quest, see it as a taking charge of my life and doing what really brings me joy. And not only that, because again, around the globe, here in Washington State, we get our a mass mandate lifted on the 11th. Yay, indoors, and everything's starting to really open up. And around the world's really starting to open up. It's really about you coming from this place of rest and internal work to see how you want to apply it in your life. It's not about going back to the way it was. We will never go back to the way it was. It's about moving forward in a new way, a joyful way. So let's talk about how we can communicate with those fairies and bring that joy in more viscerally. Like, we really want to see and interact with them. And again, they happen so fast and easy around us, we miss the cues. So the first thing I really want to tap into is everybody really using all their senses. Again, 80% of our world is viewed for our eyeballs. That's what we think we have to see spirit. But we forget and discount the other parts, because when we think of the sixth sense, we think outside of ourselves. This sixth sense is actually a combination of all five senses. So I'm talking about going back to grade school here: touch, smell, taste, hearing, sight, all those lovely parts. So you got to make sure you're using all parts. That's why a lot of times when interacting with spirit, you close your eyes. By closing your eyes, it enhances your other four senses: that sound, that touch, that smell, that taste, and interact with them that way. So fairies, they really like to use all senses. So a fairy might come, yes, as a ball of light, but it might also come as a sweet flower smell. And right now, nothing's blooming. So if you're smelling roses and lilacs and cotton candy, that's a fairy greeting right there. That's a big one. Sound of children laughing, or tinkly bells, or a song. I can't tell you how many times my fairy guides like to sing Pop Goes a Weasel, because they'll know as soon as they sing that song to me, it is stuck in my head for a week, and I'll catch myself whistling it out of the blue. Do 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 do, and then Pop Goes the Weasel. Yep, it's in there again. So again, find little childhood songs, and that's actually in reverse a way to call fairies to you. So you can think about London Bridge is falling down, all those little twinkle twinkle little star. And you never thought I was going to be hearing ravens sing so much, but all those little fun little songs, nursery rhyme songs that we sing when we're kids, can call them. But not just those. Think of like popular songs you like to sing. It's the vocals that they love. They love hearing us sing. So if you got a favorite song you want to sing, you got a childhood song, you just want to whistle or hum, get busy singing. They love the vocals, the sound of your voice, because we tend to be too internal with our communication. So you need to actually use your voice, sing it, and it will call them to you. So when you call them, and here's an old trick. I actually brought my feather in. My cat tried to steal it this morning. Here's a crow feather. So feathers are a great device to be able to work with the fairies. Again, it's gift from the air realm. So we're talking about the air elementals, but actually it draws any fairies to you. Any feather will work. So you can get a feather from a craft store or go on one of your walks, and it doesn't have to be way out in nature. I wanted to bring that up too. We think that the only way to work with fairies is going into a untouched area that man has not touched. I have some news for you. Every part of nature has been touched by man. So throw that right out of your head. This whole untouched, unspoiled areas, and there are really dense spiritual places. I get that, but someone has been there before you. So get that notion out of your head that you have to go to one of these untouched natural areas, because not everybody has access. Oh my God, I'd love to live where you are. And I'm spoiled too. I'm not here in the Northwest. I literally live in the Cascade Mountains, and going for a hike is literally in my back door. So it's pretty easy. But for some of you that live in the cities, going out to the outback or to the desert or wherever is kind of a trip. It's an all day journey to get there. So don't overlook your local parks. Don't look over that little green belt behind your apartment. Don't overlook a playground. All those places are also where fairies gather. Let me tell you, where children are, fairies are. Holy cow. Playgrounds are a fantastic place to go practice your fairy communication. Fairies and children go hand in hand. Fairies watch over children very closely to help them develop. Again, their bodies are burning through those elementals as they're growing and changing. So the fairies are there very, very actively working with them. That's why children always have little balls of light around them in photographs. Those are the fairies showing up. Or they see things or are talking to things all the time, or making silly games, because they're usually playing with the fairies. So hang out with kids and then use your senses. What are you smelling? What are you seeing? Are you seeing little balls of light? Are you seeing little bugs floating around? Are you seeing birds getting really close and chirping? One of the things that fairies like to do is they like to take the disguise of something to get really close to us. So they will come in the form of bugs and birds and things like that. So the free gift I gave Louise for the show was Greetings from the Fairy Realm. If you watch this video, they are all over this video. One of the parts of it, I'm talking literally about this, and a bumblebee bounces off my forehead. They literally photobombed my video in this video. And in the video, if you look behind me, I have a ginormous cherry tree behind me. That's a fairy portal. So big trees, nature places, these can be fairy portals where the fairies can come and go from our realm. In that video, if you look really closely, you can see all these little bugs going in a circle. They're fairies. They showed up in the video. So that's why I included that video for free so everybody can watch it, because all the sights and sounds are in that video if you watch it. Even I had to go back and watch it like, whoa. So feather, I got away from that. So feathers, how they can draw fairies to you is you can sing your song to the feather. So when you blow over a feather, you are enacting the air elemental. When you do that, you call the air elemental to you. So it's a great way to make a breeze if you're feeling kind of hot on a summer day. For all of you Aussies that are in summer right now, you can blow. But also, when you do that, you get the attention of all the air and fairy spirits around you. So you can sing your song through it, twinkle, twinkle, little star, and blow, or you can make a prayer. I pray to Mother Earth and all of the nature fairy spirits. I ask you, please, I am ready to listen to you and to see you. Make your presence known. Woo, that's a strong one. That feather then becomes blast and will attract, like catnip, the fairies. They love it. So a couple different things you can do with it. You can just play with your feather. You can put it in your hair. You can carry it with you when you go for your hike. You can put it on your altar to the fairies. Or one of my favorite things to do is I tie a string to it and I hang it on a branch outside. They will be drawn to play with that feather. Then I sit just a few feet away from it and meditate and watch the feather. As it dances around, if you kind of use your senses, you'll pick up on the smell, on the sight, on the hearing and all those different senses. So I watch the feather as it dances, and if I see a ball of light, I'll close my eyes and focus on that ball of light, and it'll oftentimes take a form of a fairy being. So this is how you can practice and strengthen your third eye in seeing fairy spirits. So feathers work awesome. Any elements that you want to draw to your apartment balcony or even inside, again, you don't have to do this outside. You can use a bowl of water, a candle, a display of flowers, your favorite stones, some nature items you picked up on a hike, like a pine cone or a stick. You can make a little collection of that dedicated to the fairies, and then make that their shrine or altar that you work with them. They are guaranteed to come investigate what you have left them. But don't forget offerings like chocolate and tobacco. This is fairy catnip. They love it. And an old Welsh one, Welsh English tradition is cinnamon and milk, or cinnamon, milk, and honey. You mix it all together, you leave it in a little bowl, and it is ambrosia. They get drunk off of it. They love it. So you can leave a little bit of an offering of that on your altar or even on your doorstep, and it is a way to tell the fairies, hey, this is an offering for you. You can also do it through birdseed, is one way that I like to feed the fairies, but tobacco is a good one here, and that could be pipe tobacco. It can be, any kind of loose kind of tobacco. It is beloved by the fairies. I will keep it in a pouch when I hike, and they will unknot that triple knot on my pouch. And before I'm like 5 steps into the trailhead, they have already got emptied out about half of the bag. They love it. So you can take tobacco, and again, getting the more natural loose pipe tobacco is a lot better, but hold it to your heart, put that prayer in there before you walk on your hike, and announce yourself. Remember, you're coming to their house, and we tend to forget that when we go into natural areas. So announce yourself. Hi, I'm Raven. I asked for permission to come into your house today, and I'm open to receive any messages that you want to give me. Then take that little bit of tobacco, find a tree, and offer it at the base of that tree. You've just announced yourself to the fairy kingdom and their house, their kingdom, that you've arrived and would like to interact with them. This is very, very polite, and they love that. Hello, we all like good manners. So when we do good manners, they're more open to interact with us. I guarantee you'll find strange things. So again, use your senses, balls of light, smells, interactions, even taste. Sometimes you'll get a weird taste in your mouth, like, why am I tasting banana? Because a fairy is playing with you and tastes like banana. Sometimes you'll have a bug jump in your mouth. That's a fairy that wanted to investigate your tongue. Yum. You'll have animals that'll jump out. Again, sometimes this can be a fairy spirit, but also they're just, coming to say hi. And sometimes you'll get weird jewelry and stuff. I usually get broken pieces of jewelry and coins everywhere. That's their gifts to you. 4-leaf clovers. Hello, St. Patty's Day is just around the corner, so don't forget to hunt for your 4-leaf clover. They will help you hunt for that, but look for other funny things like shiny rocks and things like that too. Again, what's treasure to them may not be treasure to us. So that broken kid's toy may not be treasure to you, but it is a huge treasure to them, and they have just gifted you. You don't have to keep it if you don't want to. A lot of times I will accept it and go, thank you so much. And then I'll re-gift it and put it out for another fairy to discover, or maybe another child or somebody on the trail to find. So there's some ideas for you in interacting with them. But again, be that out in the trail, on a hike, or in your apartment, use your senses and really start to open up for those greetings, smells, tastes, sights, sounds, and touches, like pulling your hair or tickling the back of your neck or making you sneeze like pepper. Yeah, they like doing that too. So there's a bunch there.
I know. I mean, again, we come back to this kind of like, it's all about perception. They're very playful and they're very mischievous, and it depending on kind of whether you're in that conscious awareness of their energy or not, you can be thinking, well, why am I sneezing? Why is this going on? And it's like, you might find that annoying, but actually it's the fairies trying to communicate with you. It's the fairies trying to get your attention. Like your hair might suddenly keep coming in your face and you're kind of constantly trying to push your hair out of the way. It's like, no, it's like the fairies are pulling your hair in front of your face and just trying to get your attention. So I always kind of, if in doubt, just say hello. hello, and I'm open to receive. But can you show me the messages in a way that I can understand? One of the things that I love about the fairy energy that I spoke about before is that you've spoken about how we can connect with them, how we can be aware of their connection to us, and how we can invite them in. It's not just about the playfulness, and we talked a little bit about the alchemy. How can we work with the fairies to bring through, because we are coming into spring, we're coming into that kind of awakening energy, that sort of, we're coming out of the slumber of the winter season and into sort of more actively engaging creatively. So how can we work with the fairies to enhance that, to increase that? And again, you've spoken about their connection with the third eye, bringing that energy through. Because again, as so many people are coming out the lockdowns and they're wanting to kind of start, getting active and feeling the rise in that energy. Are there particular groups of the fairy kingdom that they can connect to for that? Or is it just, being able to connect to any of the fairy kingdom, but more specifically around creativity and kind of bringing things into manifestation?
One of the things is really kind of tapping into what element you're feeling really drawn to. That has two different things. When you're drawn to a certain element, that kind of can help key you into a certain group of fairies. Like I mentioned, the elements can really kind of help divide up the different fairy kingdoms from different beings. So if you're really drawn to fire, then maybe you should be looking at fire salamander or dragons or a phoenix or things like that, because those are all connected to that fiery realm and those beings. But that's also keying you into you. We've all been really locked down for a long time, and we really need to get our metabolisms going. So that key into the fire fairy or whatever you're drawn to also telling you that your metabolism is sluggish, that you need to get your fire going, you need to get your chi going, you need to get your spirit revved up, you need to get passionate about things. And because if you want creativity, creativity is the fire of life, it's the fire of creation. And so you need to stoke the fire. So you work with the fire elementals and the fire fairies, because then they help get that fire creativity going in what you want to do. And that could be meditating in the sun, it can be working with candle magic, it can be working with that flame. One of my favorite things in teaching candle magic and working with fire elementals is go choose a candle and dedicate it to your fire fairy. So when you light the candle, you are in communication with that fire, that little flame, and then you watch it and you can ask it questions. That fire actually will jump and actually move in a certain way to yes and no, just like a pendulum. So you can have a conversation with a candle and that fire, and it's so awesome. You can learn that, and you can take that heat from the candle and you can put that into your heart, and then you can feel that warmth going into your body. It awakens your own fire elemental, like, yeah, I want to burn some more calories. So all of us that got COVID weight, yeah, I think all of us can raise our hand. Yes, I'd like to lose some weight. I'm currently working with my fire elemental to do that. So to help kind of get that metabolism going and creativity and energy for waking up and getting out, a lot of us are feeling really drawn to growing food and working in our gardens and getting stuff awakened, planting flowers for the bees and the butterflies and the hummingbirds. So if you're working in the garden, ask your garden gnomes and fairy spirits in your garden to help you with your garden plan. You can have them talk to the weeds and explain that you got to move them to the compost bin to turn them into something else. And you'll find your weeds actually come out easier, which is great. And then you can ask your land, those fairies, hey, what's more appropriate to plant in this area of the garden? And you'll find that plants will be on sale at the garden center, to the soil tills up a lot easier and your plants grow better. So conscious gardening is really becoming a thing, sustainable gardening. And there's a lot of programs and classes and also different groups and huge events you can attend on permaculture or sustainable gardening. And that's working with nature, fairy spirits, and you together. So, isn't that cool? There's like so many different things you can do. One of our big events we have out here in the Northwest is called the Fairy Congress, which is awesome. It started years ago, actually, from Daphne Charters, who's from England. And she actually captured fairies in a photograph. And she started a communication with the fairy realm and wanted to bridge the human and fairies together to work together.
Mm.
Finhorn's another great place that
Mm.
actually had a barren piece of land that wasn't growing squat until they started meditating and working with the fairy elementals. They told them what to plant, where, and what to do to the soil. And then they started growing 3-foot zucchinis. So it's amazing. We wonder sometimes, how can we, working with our spirit guides, do something that really affects our physical life? And that's where fairies really show us. They affect our physical health within us, and they affect our physical environment when we work with them. It's so amazing what they can do for us when we work together. So that alchemy really is about bringing elements together to create magic, to create something, to manifest something. And so working with the fairies is alchemy, is magic, is creating that stuff, and it includes you. This isn't about just working with them, it's about including you in the process. It's co-creation. That's why it makes me so excited working with those fairy beings, because they want to always get us involved.
Mm.
Yay.
Absolutely. One of the things, I don't know why, but one of the things that wants to be shared is I often go out and play my flute. Um, and
Beautiful.
I will sometimes dedicate like what I'm playing to the different directions, but also the different elements, depending. And it's like, for me, it's allow the inspiration to flow through you. You know, don't feel silly about whatever it is that you're being inspired to do. Because if you're being inspired to do it, that inspiration is coming through for a reason. And so, whether you're wanting to connect with the fairies, allow whatever process that may look like to come through you. And it is very much about getting back into your childhood. When we were children, we didn't care. We would pick up an instrument, we would pick up a flute, and we would just blow it. And it didn't matter whether it was the loudest, squeakiest noise, and our parents were like, "Oh my God," or it was a beautiful sound. It didn't matter to us because we were just doing naturally what we felt inclined to do. And that for me is the energy of the fairies. That for me is, when you're kind of connecting in with their world, when you allow that energy to kind of flow through you naturally and you start taking action with that. So I don't know why
Totally.
that wanted to be shared.
Oh no! Well, I'm glad you mentioned it because I almost forgot. They really like high pitched noises, so really high bells, like tinkle bells. There's a reason why they're called fairy bells, because they draw the fairies to our homes to protect our homes and bless our homes. So if you've got a little bell, like this little brass little bell, this can be a great charm to hang, to ring. You can just ring it when you're out. You can hang it on your backpack so it rings as you hike, and that draws them to you. And if you're not feeling musically inclined, that's okay. I mean, again, think of all the different ways to be creative. You can get Play-Doh, you can make cookies, you can paint a rock and with a fairy on it or a word. You can just get wildflower seeds and put them in a pot. You can get silly toys. Here's a silly dragon toy. After doing the dragon talk, I found this. It's so funny. And when you squeeze it, the tongues come out. This is so fairy. So fairy dragon. So, and there's dragons that work with the fairies. There are fairy dragons. They look like dragons with butterfly wings. Shiny rocks. Things like this is bismuth. They love bismuth. That rainbow colored shininess. Love it. So, and I always keep little shiny rocks next to my gnome by my computer because it's offerings to him. So it can be an offering. It can be a song. It can be a prayer, and it can be play and creative all at the same time. So if you want to, finger paint and with your pudding, go for it. It's like, again, throw out all of the adult conditions and just get back to play again. Glitter is a good one. They love glitter, and they make edible, environmentally safe glitter. So if you're worried about putting something in the environment, then get stuff that's biodegradable, like edible glitter. That way they love it. It's shiny and it melts away, and it's not going to pollute anything. So there's so much stuff we can do that's environmentally sound, but also is really fun because edible glitter is yummy. So, so yes, I've tried it. So again, you get playful and fun, and it really does tap into that inner child. So again, playing with the fairies actually ends up playing with that inner child within you, which brings healing. It gets you to loosen up. It gets you to go have play and fun, to take a break from the treadmill work you talked about and go out and take a walk, to pet a cat. Who knows? That cat might have been a fairy watching you to see if you're really serious about playing with the fairies. And after you pet that cat, then it's like every time you go out, that cat's waiting for you, including flowers, gifts, sweet smells, your hair being pulled, and you walk through a cobweb. That's another thing I like to do. I feel like walking through cobwebs. That's them. So as soon as you just start seeing it. So I challenge everybody is when you walk out the door today, everybody go get a fresh breath of air, even if it's for a minute or two. Smell the air. What does it smell like? What is the weather like? And notice something you didn't notice before. If you can do that each day for even a minute or two, you will see something different, and you'll start to notice them. You'll start to see them, and put that prayer out there. Get yourself a feather, or just say it out the door. I'm ready, fairies, bring it, and get ready. Because when you announce that at the party, they're going to come and play. Your job is to start noticing. And once you start noticing, then you can take it to the next step. Like Louise said, is you just start having those conversations and listening, because the reply back, or the prompting, or the push, or the dream, or the notion you get in your head will be exactly the message that you needed to hear.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm aware of the time, and I do want to take some direct questions, but I know you wanted to take us through a short
a short little quickie here, because I mentioned what element, and everybody's, I can already see a couple like, I wonder what element I'm supposed to be playing with. I already saw it on the chat screen. So I'm just going to do a quickie meditation, and we need to wrap our heads around that a shamanic journey or a meditation can be really quick. So yes, we can do this fast. I'm just going to help everybody tap into what element wants to play with you, and then we'll jump into your questions. And oh my gosh, because I can feel all the questions coming in. So yay. So take a deep breath. And the first thing we always need to do whenever we're working with the fairy realm is ask Mother Earth for a hug to get grounded. So everybody reach down to Mother Earth, tap into that spring green color of fresh leaves and grass, and see Mama Earth standing in front of you with her arms wide open, and go to her for a hug. Imagine those arms, big arms wrapped around you, and in those arms feel loved, accepted, and grounded. Congratulations, you are now grounded. So with Mother Earth, I want you to see the 4 seasons, the 4 elements around you. So see that rain and water, of river and ocean. See the bright sun of summer, of fire, bonfires, and warmth. See the still earth of all the leaves and the earth and the soil and the farm fields growing new crops. And feel the air blowing, the storm, the wind, howling winds, the trees rustling their leaves and talking to you in the language of trees. So of these 4 environments, 4 seasons of summer, of fall with the leaves blowing, of springtime, the field growing, wintertime with the water, rain, and snow, what season or element are you drawn to? Spring with new growth and fields of earth, summer with fire, bonfires, and warmth, fall with leaves rustling and wind blowing, or winter with water, snow, and flowing? Do you find your season and element? Perfect. Hold that season, that element within you, and feel that element within you. So if it's earth, feel it within your skin, your bones. If it's fire, feel it within that fire, passion, heart, and metabolism. If it's air, take a deep breath, breathing in and out like those blowing leaves. And if it's water, feel it from the pulse to the flow of liquids to the own saliva in your mouth, the liquids within you, water. Good job. Whatever element you connected with is the element you need for your healing and the fairy that's waiting to help you. There you go. Come back to yourself, and you'll notice, unlike other journeys, you come back to yourself very quickly, integrating at a physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental levels. There you go. Quickie. So this is something you can practice every day, which is awesome. And it'll kind of give you a heads up of what you may need to work with within yourself. Again, healing wise, but also environmentally, that fairy or spirit guide that wants to come and work with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mine was spring and air.
Nice. So spring and air. So you kind of combine it that way. So yeah, again, you gotta love the fairies. They can be tricky. They can switch around whatever direction they want. But perfect. So spring and air. So new growth and air. You got a double.
I felt them playing with my hair loads. I felt like they were just like sitting, pulling at my hair. I was just like, okay.
Nice, right on. Yeah, it was summer. I'm like, oh, I'm wanting warmth. It's been so cold lately. So I think I'm looking forward to that. And what did I mention? Been working on my metabolism and my fire. So yep, I'm still really, really focused on fire right now. Yep.
It's really interesting because I mean I love walking and I love being out, but I've just had the inspiration to run up Loose Hill, which is a local hill to us. And running has not been a thing that I've ever done in my life. So I know that that inspiration is completely spirit driven because it's not something that my ego would have come up with. So I'm connecting into it from a very childlike perspective of, yeah, running up to the top of the hill, that would be cool.
And you'll definitely be panting if you do that. So that'll be the air elemental. Good one. I like it.
So I'm going to see where that leads me, and I'm going to completely allow it to be what it is. Right, so let's get to some questions. So if you have a question that you want to pose to Raven about fairies, and then just pop them in the Q&A or in the chat, or you can stick your hand up and I'll bring on the attendees so I can see if anybody's got their hands up. So we've got one question in the Q&A from Marie, saying, hello fairies and other people, I'm working on getting my metabolism more active to lose weight and lower my blood pressure. How can I work together with the elementals, fairies, and get some help?
Yay! Awesome. This is definitely in my wheelhouse because I'm doing this myself too. So our metabolism is directly linked with our insulin and glucose and all that, and blood sugar and all this about what we eat, the fuel we eat. So it's kind of a twofold, which is kind of crazy because not only is it about getting our metabolism kind of not so sluggish and working more effectively, but it's also the fuel you put in there. So you find that when working with the fairies and having them help you look at your actual food you're eating, you're going to want to eat more like nutritious fruits and vegetables and all those things that your doctors and stuff and nutritionists always say, because it has better nutrients in it. It's better fuel for your body. So when we eat a lot of really dense caloric processed sugary food, it's not very good fuel. And we'll find that our fire elemental actually has a hard time breaking it down. So when we actually switch to more salads, fruits, vegetables, things like that, it actually is easier for our fire element within us to break it down, which also makes us ultimately lose weight, which is pretty cool. So it's like, oh, what do you mean the doctor was right? Yes, the doctor was actually right. But you can actually do that. And by shifting your diet with that and working with that, you'll find that then your blood pressure and other stuff will come down too. The other flip of that is movement. A lot of times when we're really tired, movement is like the complete opposite. But fire has a lot to do with our energy, like Louise saying, hey, I want to go run up that hill. That's her fire elemental also kicking in. So a lot of you noticed that when you chose one element, the other one's, hey, we want to be involved too. Because again, it's a group effort. They're all there. So with you trying to get your blood pressure down and get your metabolism going is really feeling in your body and sometimes getting out of the rut you've been in. So if you just want to lay on the couch and do nothing, then get up and go walk out and get the mail. Just go walk around for a little bit each day and then just try to increase it. Whatever movement feels good to you and is okay with your joints and stuff. That I was really small when I first started, but now I'm up to 60 minutes and I use a song, and I actually made the song part of my ringtone on my phone. So the song that I like to exercise to is on my phone. So every time I get a phone call, it makes me think, oh yeah, I want to go work out. It's so weird, but it actually is working, and it makes me really happy that I want to go move and make time for myself. And again, getting that energy up is what's really been helping me lose already 15 pounds since the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
So definitely. So it's these little things that you can do working together with your elements in your body. And again, think of your angels, guides, and fairies as your cheer squad. They're like, yeah, 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 go, go, go. And I should also mention there are some shadow guides, fairy spirits. So it's not always about, wee, fun, joy. Sometimes it is some of the ooky corners that come forward too. I've been doing a lot of shadow work for a lot of people, and some of us are continuing to do shadow work into this year. So sometimes those fairy spirits can be holding up a mirror and being like, hey, remember, you want to lose some weight? Hello. So that can also be a fairy guide too. So again, they're not just always trying to encourage you to eat chocolate chip cookies and cake. There are actually other fairy spirits, like a coach that has a whistle on and then blows that whistle in your ear at 4 o'clock in the morning and said, hey, you want to go work out? No, not at 4 o'clock. So you can have all aspects working with you, which is pretty cool.
Mm. The other thing that was coming through, and I don't know why, is microgreens.
Yep. Yep. Again, fuel, good fuel, right?
Yeah. Um, Nuru is saying, can fairies help with hot flashes?
Oh, yes, definitely. Actually, having gone through a hysterectomy, I went right into menopause and had to deal with hot flashes quite a bit because I could not take the hormone replacement because of my system. So I had to ride it out with herbs. So speaking of microgreens and herbs, I took certain herbs that helped with that. So with the herbs, I actually asked the fairies that worked with those herbs to really help to synchronize that in my body, which really helped to get my hot flashes down. But I actually rode the hot flashes with the dragons. So the dragons actually helped me to accept the fire. Instead of fighting it, I went into the fire because menopause is actually about rebuilding us. It is like the snake. Menopause is a way that we actually transform and totally shift our bodies, which is amazing. So when we stop fighting the hot flashes and see that hot flash as a transformative, like a snake shedding or dancing through the fire, I would actually dance. It actually helped. That really helped me get through the hot flashes. So, and again, finding ways to cool off. So balance it. If you have too much fire, one of the things I did, water. I did a lot of water. I counterbalanced with the opposite element. So I would drink a lot of water. I would take cold showers. I, was sleeping in the nude with everything hanging out because it was in the winter. And I'd walk out in the snow barefoot with the hot flashes. But it was great because the water and fire balanced each other. So a couple different things to try there, from herbal treatment to doing more, balancing physically with a cold shower. Try those different techniques and see what works for you. And everybody's a little different. For me, it was feet. Some people are feet and shoulders. Something about exposing those places on your body can help you cool down really fast from a hot flash. So if that helps you too.
Colleen is saying that she loves the subject of fairies. Do they have any messages, particularly for her, how she can be healthier and look younger?
Ooh, good one. So smile. It's the laughter part. A lot of, they say that a frown uses like 200 some muscles in our face, but a smile only uses like 15. So there's a lot to do in that, and really looking at our stress. And like Louise said earlier, what responsibilities are you taking on that really are not yours to take on, that you need to give away? Fairies can really help you see that, to loosen up, to release that. And how does this do with looking younger? Because if you're not stressed out and all the time, and you tell the people that look really young, they look happy because they are happy. There's a big link between our happiness and youthfulness. So if you can tap into that, it helps to really lift that. And then it's, talking again with those fairies and play and having fun, that joyful spirit, that smile, that genuine enjoying life. Our bodies will mimic that. And so we'll have the energy to do those fun things. We have that joyful glow and big smile and all that. So definitely the fairies can help tap into that, but really look at your stress. Look at your stress and how you can release that. So that's what their message is for you, is look at your stress. You're hanging on to some responsibility of other people that you don't need to hold on to. And you have a fairy queen behind you with big wings and kind of a pale purple, lavender, and light minty green kind of color dress standing behind you. So she is very excited to work with you more.
Excellent. Sherry's saying gnomes are everywhere. Is there anything that they want her to do?
Awesome. Yeah, you'll notice gnomes are very popular in our culture. And I love how spirit does this. Different animals, llamas have been really popular, owls, gnomes are everywhere in every season, not just winter. And it's because their energy is coming really onto the planet. So gnomes really are our caretakers, like I mentioned, for our yard, but also for our house too. So think of house elves like Harry Potter. We actually have gnomes or fairy spirit brownies in the house to take care of our homes. And where have we been hanging out a lot? Our houses and our yards. So that's why so many people were prompted to do housework and do projects. Even I did some big house renovation because, heck, we're all here. And that's them. All those little gnomes and fairy spirits are really excited that we've been actually caretaking and taking care of ourselves, our homes, and our yards. So we're seeing this represented in energy and seeing gnomes everywhere. So they want to continue to help us not just go back to the grind of work. We need to remember to keep doing these little things that we do for ourselves, like person taking care of her metabolism, to the person that's, reducing her stress. We need to remember to keep these healthy habits that we've created, and also to keep taking care of where we live, our environment. And, when you go for a walk, pick up a couple pieces of trash. You have no idea how happy this makes the fairies when we pick up after ourselves. So just carry a plastic bag, or not plastic, a cloth canvas bag, since we're all getting away from plastic, but carry something on you where you can just pick up a couple random pieces of trash. The fairies will notice. They get so excited when we do this. And now's a good time to do it before the grass gets really long. So I live more out in the country, and after the grass gets really long, you can't see the trash there. So if you do it now, earlier in the spring, it can clean up a lot of the stuff before it gets hidden by all the debris.
Regina's also talked about, help to get going with decluttering the house. Would they'd be the same? That's the same energy.
Oh, yeah. Totally. And one of my favorite fairies I worked with, and again, we had to think outside of the box sometimes. I do a lot of essences and things, and I made a compost fairy essence. I literally had to stick my master bottle in my compost pile for like a couple of weeks. That was the most amazing essence I ever made. It actually helped someone's warts disappear because it broke things down. It composted it. So when I would use it and mix it into mixes, it would help to reduce stuff, break it down. If you're trying to reduce your clutter, your breakdown, having fairies that are really good at organizing, cleaning, breaking things down, they're excellent to work with. Yes, there is an OCD fairy out there for you if you need to get organized.
Arietta is saying that the fairies once told her about direct chemicals in her space, and again she feels that she's got a lot of chemicals and she's feeling quite overloaded. Are there any particular fairies that she can connect with that would particularly help her with reducing this kind of chemical overload that she's sensing in her body, in her field?
Definitely, everybody's sensitivity, and as you awaken, you can become very sensitive to different things. Definitely as you're probably doing, going through your laundry soap to what you're using and all that, and really going more less sensitive. One of the things to really build our senses is that we have to kind of reduce the perfumes we use and things. So going odor free in your laundry soap, your hand soap, your shampoo and all that can be really liberating because it actually resets your senses. You actually notice more of your environment when you do that. So this sounds like the process you're going through. So you may need to like kind of like an elimination diet. You do an elimination senses. You actually eliminate some of these different products for a little while, and you get to know your own BO because you don't use your deodorant for a while and some other stuff. But it's really interesting because your senses get so much more acute, and it will help you actually work with the nature spirits more because they can actually interact with you more. So that can really help. The other thing I'm hearing for you particularly is work with that water element. Again, if we think of flushing and cleansing and clearing, we think of the water. So if you have a bog or a swamp near you, meditate. These are the livers of Mother Earth. This is actually where she detoxifies her toxins, is near a swamp. So the plants of the swamp, like skunk cabbage and what am I thinking of? Cattails, things like that. They actually, if you look at the science of it, they actually will filter and clean polluted water. It is amazing. And that's part of our problem in development is we keep filling them in. We keep getting rid of them. And out here in the Northwest, it's all wetlands around here. So really understanding how a wetland works and seeing the correlation between a wetland, that swamp, and your body. So, what do you need to do to get the fresh water to flush out the toxins, to detoxify gently? It doesn't have to be harshly, it can be gently. And that might be where you can work with a water elemental, a mermaid, a water, a silky, all those different beings of the water. They can help you to detox those toxins out of you, even sitting with a cattail. So, you can get a cattail or a water plant and just work with this water plant and ask it, hey, can you help me detox?
She's actually, or she or he, I'm presuming it's a she, has clarified and said it's about chemical attacks and entities.
Gotcha. So again, guardianship and protection. So maybe earth then might be a good one too. I'd still stick with water because if you are getting attacked, that means you have a doorway within you. So look at clarifying and detoxifying you so that you can make a better boundary outside of you. Good correction there and good question.
I'm just somebody's got their hand up. Miha, I'm just going to allow you to talk, Miha. So if you want to unmute yourself.
Hi,
Hey.
hi, sweetie. How both of you? I love both of you. Raven is an amazing. I was in so much darkness. She really helped me, and I am now. Every 3 months, I'm gonna go get help from her. Just amazing. She is love.
Oh, thank you, Ihar.
She cares. She touches your heart. I'm not gonna cry, but I was in so much darkness. I feel so much free, and I just love her. And please,
Do you have a specific question?
yes, it's about my animal, of course. It's my cat. I don't know why they're itching so much. They are like not centered. I don't know. I am praying. I am asking. So, can fairies help me with them?
Well, so two things. I'm glad you brought this up. Fairies can be really mischievous and sometimes actually kind of bother our animals. I know that sounds really strange, but sometimes they get. I had a 3-foot fairy named Sammy, and she would torment my cat so much to the fact that my cat wouldn't even come downstairs after a while because it would like want to ride the cat and play with the whiskers and stuff, and so the cat would hide. So again, we often think about our pets, and yes, cats and dogs, but it can be lizards too. They can see fairies, they can see those spirits in the house. So sometimes we need to ask the fairies to be polite with our animals. With your
Okay.
cat, though, I'm feeling allergic reaction. So
Yeah.
definitely there's some kind of like it might be food. You may need to work with a vet to maybe try a different food because it does feel like a dry itchiness within that. So you can ask a healing fairy spirit that's appropriate to work with your cat to help
Uh-huh.
bring a balance of that dry, so like bring more water in there, or and also
Mm-hmm.
to help you shop for the appropriate food that might be better for your cat. So
Yeah,
definitely
you're
feels like
right.
a yeah.
You're right. I had to take one of them, and he said it's allergy because
Yep.
they
Oh,
changed
there
the
you go.
food. Yeah, they said it's
Confirmation.
allergy. Yeah, so
Yeah.
they gave him shot, and he's sleeping right behind me. And yeah, it's a food.
Yep.
Yeah.
So give it
Okay.
time.
Thank you.
Like us, like any of our allergies, it takes a month to make that shift
Okay.
happen. So just
Okay.
be
Thank
patient
you.
with it.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you. Thank you,
welcome. Thank you,
Louise. Thank
VR.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you, Mika.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, I'm just going to bring on Susan. Susan, you're allowed to talk. Okay, do you want to unmute yourself? Susan Reed, do you want to unmute yourself?
There we go.
Hi, Susan. Here we go. A question.
I just had a mouthful.
That's
much.
the fairies messing with us.
Yep.
So I put on the chat that I really appreciate any help to guide me or to help me with the information in my knee. My mobility is getting, my right knee is very enlarged and has been that way for a while, and it's getting worse and worse.
Is this your right knee?
Yes.
Yep, thought so. So, so it's kind of interesting within our body how we're wired: right, male, left, female. And so, right is your forward movement, male, and taking action. So, go fig. It's your right knee, which is your flexibility and forward movement in life. So, when we have joints that act up, and I totally understand that because my left arm was acting up. I injured it last summer, and I've been working on trying to get the stiffness out of it. I can actually raise my hand, yay! And I had to actually not only look at the injury I created, so look at what injury that you have created in your knee, because this feels like something that's been there for a while and it's creeping up on you.
Yeah.
But also look at the energetic of it. So with that, with my left shoulder, this is me about raising my arm and taking care of myself because it was female. Because it's a right knee, that's male, that's forward movement. So look at how are you preventing your forward movement? What are you hesitating about? What are you kind of preventing making a decision or moving forward on? That could really help you there. I can see Archangel Raphael Michael behind you pretty strongly. So you got the angelic help. How the fairies can help is they can actually work with the inflammation in your knee. So you can work with the fire elemental that is inflaming, and also the water elemental that's creating all the fluids in your knee that's making it stiff. So if you can get a balance between those two elements, then you can get movement, but not so much pain. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but how do I do it?
You talk. So you can, again, energetic healing. You can, of course, work with your doctor, your Reiki person, stuff like that to get some energetic treatment on it. But you can also sit there and talk to your knee. So have a conversation with your knee. Say, hey, what's going on? And look at yourself when you're talking with your knee. Is it bringing up a memory from the past? Can you think about where this injury really started? And like I mentioned, think about decisions that you're making in your life. What do you want to move forward on? What pops up into your head as you have that conversation with your knee? Your knee is kind of, think of it like a bubble. It's holding this energy right now. So if you can have a conversation with it, you can pop that bubble to let out that energy and have a conversation so you can let it go. And that's where both your angels helping you and those fairies elementals helping you can release this bubble so it doesn't have to keep growing. Because that's what you're saying. You're having reduced mobility. This bubble is growing until you pop it and look at it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Keep up the good work. And again, don't be afraid to utilize your different sources of help, be that medical, energetic, spiritual counselor, use all your different helpers from all different realms, seen and unseen. Sometimes it takes a group effort.
I've just had a very unrewarding conversation with my GP, or the GP's office. So you never get to see the GP, and the next thing will be a telephone appointment in 2 weeks.
Gotcha.
So, I mean,
gotcha.
I sort of said, look,
this is a good timing. Have that conversation with your niece so you can get some more clarity. So that way you can ask the appropriate questions with your GP next time you ask. Sometimes when you can be really direct with your questions or with them, that helps them to understand exactly the help you need.
Right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Susan. Okay, so we're going to go to a written question with Wendy. She says, "Hi Raven, do you have any nature spirits with a message for her?"
Oh, okay. I think this is the gremlin one. I've been feeling gremlins here in the background, and that's one of those things where like gremlins. So a couple different things. I'm going to ask this person to ask this question. Are you finding your car or equipment, wash machine, anything acting out of ordinary? Like it's not acting very well. It's breaking down. It's not acting right. That could be part of it. Or you have a neighbor that's driving you crazy. I'll tell you why. Gremlins get such a bad rap. And this is what I was trying to touch on, is that sometimes our fairies, we tend to only focus on the fun ones, but some of the ones that we've labeled as bad are amazing to work with. They can really help us. And we've labeled them as bad. And that's us looking at our labeling and changing that. Gremlins are a good example. We even have a movie of gremlins that go wild and destroy a town, right? So why do they get a bad rap? Because they're really bad at fixing things. They want to be helpful. They want to help fix your wash machine or your car, and then it breaks down. Oops. So if you have a gremlin, if you have some stuff that's kind of going wonky around you, you identify that spirit and ask it, thank it. It's like, thank you so much for bringing this to my attention, that maybe I need to pay better attention to my stuff in my house and take care of it. And you can ask it to move. So if you've noticed a broken down car or a dumpster or something like that on your drive to for work or in your walks, focus on it and say, hey, Mr. Gremlin, that car really needs to be fixed. Do you mind go fixing that one instead? So this is how, when I've done house blessings, I've moved gremlins out of houses. I send them to an old broken down car, which they think is the best project ever. They're like, yay! And they get really excited to go fix it. Now, if it is a neighbor that's driving you crazy, yes, I've been sneaky. I had a neighbor who played their music at 4 o'clock in the morning so obnoxiously loud, it was driving me crazy. And no matter how many times we asked them to turn it down, they were really rude. So I asked a gremlin to go fix their stereo. Through the wall of this duplex, you can, what's wrong with the bleep bleep stereo, bleep bleep bleep, and it didn't work anymore. So this is where you can actually get a spirit to kind of help you to be able to do something. So again, here's a couple of good examples of how we need to kind of rethink our fairies. And this is what I see around you. You got a couple opportunities to either move on a gremlin out of your house or give it to a neighbor that maybe need to adjust their vehicle or car or something else. It's a little mischievous, but that's what the fairies help you to be, is sometimes a little mischievous yourself.
Yeah, she said that she was having problems with her printer, but that seems to have resolved.
So, yep, I picked up you were the gremlin one. So ask the little fairy spirit gremlins in your printer to go maybe help a broken down car in your neighborhood instead.
Excellent. I'm just going to take a couple more quick questions because I'm just conscious of the time. So we'll go to Celeste. So you're allowed to talk, Celeste. Do you want to unmute yourself?
Oh, I see how to do that. Hey, can you? What?
Sorry, you're coming through really loud, so I don't know if
Is this better?
A little bit. Anyway, ask your question.
I'm turning my volume down. Is this better?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
I can barely hear you. Okay. I feel like I need to whisper. Is that a gremlin?
Possibly.
Might be fairies playing, definitely.
I saw the email last night about you, Raven, and I got so excited. I feel like I've been waiting for this or anticipating it somehow, just wanting some help to come through. I'm pretty sure I saw a fairy in my home. It's been many years ago, run across my floor. It was maybe 7 inches tall and like gossamer looking, like almost a translucent golden tone. I saw the shape of the wings, and I really believe I want to be communicating with fairies and getting help from them and being creative. And I would love to write some stories for children and find a new kind of twist, you know what I mean? Not the same old kind of fairy tales, but something new that's relatable that children could, bring the idea of other realms of help to them that might be more real to them. Not so much like a fairy tale, but something real. Am I making sense?
Yeah, definitely. Again, it's fairies, because they're linked very much to our childhood. One of the first things that we have to do is give ourselves permission to believe in the make-believe again. So that's why you saw a very classic form of a fairy, because the fairies have an ability called glamour. They can look into our mind and take the form of what they think we need to see. So if you have a very classic image of a fairy in your mind, that's the form they take. So they're usually one of the first that will come and say hi to us. It sounds like this has been a big door opener for you to be able to work with the celestial realms and angelic realms. You have both Star Nation and a lot of angels standing behind you too. So it's that fairy, again, it's about belief. And it's funny, some people have a lot easier time believing and seeing angels than they can fairies. But again, they're earth angels. They're like little angels of the earth. And some people do see them as little angels of the earth. So again, that glamour can help them take whatever form they want. That's why, as you're finding out, trust your heart. Always trust your heart, what you're feeling. So even if you see a little dude with a little red hat on, trust your heart, because sometimes even our angels can be a little goofy. I've seen Michael with a cowboy hat and cowboy boots, and that's it. So they can take forms to help us get comfortable with ourselves and to expand ourselves. So it sounds like you have a beautiful crowd around you that's helping you believe not only in what you're seeing, but in yourself. So keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Celeste. Okay, so because of the time, I think that's it for the amount of questions that we can take. Sorry that we couldn't get to everybody's, and thank you to everybody who did join in and connect and ask questions. I want to move on to the special offering that you are providing for the audience of the summit, and so if you could speak to your special offer, because it is all about, a private one-to-one session for people to connect into their fairies and get a more in-depth conversation, as it were, with the elemental kingdoms and the fairy kingdom. So if you just want to speak to that for a bit.
Sure. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to work with everybody. And just like the dragons, I'm really going to help people connect with your fairy guides. So you get to not only discover what guides, spirit guides, fairy guides are around you, but elementally what ones are stepping forward to specifically help you with your elemental healing and health, both inside you and in your life. So it's a very in-depth, a lot of information comes forward in that half an hour, and you get to really walk away with clear clear messages, ways to communicate with these fairy guides, and elementally how that is affecting you within your body, and how you can continue to develop that relationship both inside and outside. So they're super excited. I love doing this work. And some people have asked, how do I get more grounded? How do I work with them? How do I go deeper with this? This is a huge doorway to really go into that, because again, it's you and I one-on-one working together with those guides, passing that message, and they'll tell you exactly what they would like you to do to get grounded, to get into the earth, to create that communication, that relationship, and have fun doing it. Yay.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's like you say, it's a beautiful doorway into, if people are struggling, or if people haven't been able to kind of start that conversation, it's a beautiful doorway in that you can then expand further and further on in your own practice, as it were, in connecting and communicating, and following that inspiration and that guidance, and feeling into where the elements may be out of balance within you, and what fairies you want to kind of bring in. I know we've talked about inflammation and pain, and issues with our physical body, and I do believe that the work that we're coming into is much more in the body, and having that awareness of the body, but having that awareness of the body from a magical perspective. And so, if we get an ache or a pain or a cough or this or that, it's like, okay, so what aspect of the magical realm can I connect in with that will give me guidance, or will give me advice, or will give me healing? Because everything is energy. These things can shift in an instant when we hit the nail on the head, when we connect in with what the root cause of it is, whether it's back in our childhood, whether it is an aspect that we experienced as a child that kind of shut that connection to the magical realm down within ourselves, and saw ourselves as magical beings, because we are. Or whether it's something that's happened in the day-to-day, like we've taken on too much of the weight of the world, we've taken on the pressures of everything from the outer realms, and we just need to lighten up and let go of all of that, and then all of a sudden that crushing of our physical structure will release, whatever it is. But it's a great place to make that start. Is there anything that wants to be shared before we bring this conversation to a close? Anything that you want to kind of end on or reiterate, that really wants to kind of come through before we bring this beautiful conversation to an end?
One of the things that the fairies, and I can feel all of them, all the various, the queen, the Salashid, to the fairy creatures, the dragons, they're all just so excited for all of you, in that really sincerely opening your hearts and wanting to make this relationship. And again, like the name of this beautiful Summit show, Mundane to Magical, what these guides really want you to remember is you are magic, and it's time to wake up. It's time to stand in your power and remember that your magical self is part of this co-creation. They want to talk and work with you because they think you're awesome. They think you're really cool and interesting and want to get to know you. So as much as you want to get to know this fairy, this dragon, this unicorn, this mermaid, and ask how they can help you heal your knee, your metabolism, or whatever is going on in your life, they also want to get to know you and your journey and your story. So don't diminish your story. Don't diminish your magic. Know that these beings that want to work with you are cheering you on. They want to hear the next chapter of your magical journey. And more importantly, they want to be part of it. So it's time. Open your heart, have those shivers, those chills. Someone said they're getting chills. That's the fairies, that excitement as they're fluttering their wings and jumping up and down and raising up their little red caps, because they're so excited to work with you. So, and again, you are part of their magical life. So it's in time to include yourself into their magical realms in life. These realms are not separate from us. They're always coexisting with us at the same time. And that's the magic of right now. Those doors, those realms, those veils are lifting. We're seeing all these different realms, allowing us to be who we are. It's safe to come out and play now. So again, thank you, all of you that listen. Great questions, great sharing. I saw so much open heart and sharing in the chat screen, and I just want to thank everybody, because it is about being involved. It is about sharing what you learned today. If you learned something really interesting, go share it. Go be wild and talk to a feather out on that trail, out there on a hike, or leave some tobacco or some edible glitter. Go try something fun, because you know what? Someone else will see you. They'll probably ask what you're doing, but they'll do it too. And that's how we change the world, is small acts of kindness, small little acts coming from the heart because somebody else wants to do it too. So thank you for being part of this change on the planet. I love all of you. So thank you. And thank you, Louise, for hosting this. This is amazing. I'm so honored to be here, and I can't wait to come back on and talk about something else. Whee!
Yay! Absolutely. No, we'd love to have you back. One thing that I just want to leave on, because it just caught my eye in the chat, Genevieve is saying, feeling ready to go outside and blow bubbles. Oh my God. That was the most favorite things I used to love as a kid. Blowing bubbles. You can't beat it. I mean, if that is,
oh my God, talk about a fairy thing.
if that just doesn't say fairy all over it, it's like, absolutely. In fact, if it wasn't nighttime right now, I'd go out and blow some bubbles myself.
Hey, night fairies need love too.
Absolutely. I will be energetically blowing bubbles with you, Genevieve. Thank you for that. That was absolutely amazing. So the details about the special offer that Raven is offering will be underneath the tab on her photo on the upcoming calls page, under the replay page. It will be on the emails that go out, and also it's on the free gifts page as well, which I will put the details of at the end of this edited video. But yes, if you are drawn to a session, which I would highly recommend, and people have really benefited from the sessions that Raven offered with the dragon conversation that we had last season, it's at a greatly reduced price of $80. So please check that out if you're interested. And again, thank you so much for everybody for joining, for connecting, and for sharing. And that's what, that's what makes this so magical for me, is bringing these beautiful speakers to you, sharing their wisdom, but also sharing your energy, sharing your enthusiasm, your excitement, and your magic, because we are all magical. And it is time for us all to shine. So with that, thank you, Raven, for joining us again. It's an absolute joy to have you on the show to share your energy. Absolutely love it. And thank you to the audience for joining me on this live event, and for those who join in the replay as well. I love connecting in with your energy, whether on the replay or on the live. Tomorrow is the last live conversation. It was going to be a closing conversation with me. However, because Carrie had some technical issues, she's had to reschedule. So we are hoping, we were calling in the spirits of the internet and the fairies of the ether that bring the internet and the magic of the internet into being, that it's possible for her live conversation to take place tomorrow. If Carrie is still unable to be present with us tomorrow, I will do a group healing session of some kind. We'll just see where we go from there. But I am looking forward to sharing space with Carrie and her talk on breath work and journeying of the heart. So I'm really looking forward to sharing that with you tomorrow. But until then, sending you all so much love. Have a wonderful rest of your day, wherever you are in time and space, and go and play. Go and play. Permission slip. Gifted. Bye, everybody. Take care and have a great rest of your day.